cruise is booked. We just have to worry about the balance due in a couple months. We went ahead and got our plane tickets as well as paid for the luggage. We booked our excursion the day we're in Mexico, but what about transportation from the airport to the hotel to the cruise terminal? What is this gonna cost? Yeah, it all adds up pretty quick. So what does a cruise actually cost in 2025? In today's video, I'm going to be answering that question for you by sharing every detail down to the cent of what we spent on our last cruise to Cozumel, Mexico earlier this year. But before we get into all of that, hi, my name is Jillian. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Anchored Adventures, where I share all types of tips, tricks, and hacks for cruise adventures, land adventures, and everything in between. It's been several weeks since my last upload, but going forward, I'm really trying to post at least one video every week. In between my YouTube channel, I'm also studying to become certified as a travel agent. So as much as I hope you enjoy my content here on YouTube, I hope you'll also remember me whenever you're ready to plan your next incredible vacation. And lastly, before we dive into the details, I want to give a quick disclaimer that we were not really trying to budget on this trip. I just graduated college. My boyfriend graduates this spring, so it was a time to celebrate and have a good time together. This was our first cruise and our first actual big vacation together, so we did fly, we bought souvenirs, we stayed in a hotel, we had a bookend experience, and all of that definitely added up pretty quickly. So just keep that in mind that there's always going to be a cheaper, more affordable way, but also more expensive ways to cruise as well. So with that being said, I will go ahead and start with our travel day, which was January 15th. Now, like I said, we did fly. So we actually drove from Johnson City, Tennessee, where we live, over the mountain to Asheville, North Carolina, where we flew direct to St. Petersburg Clearwater International Airport. The flight was about an hour and a half long, and the total for our flight was $426 for both people round trip. This did include a seat selection and 2 checked bags. We made the mistake of thinking we could just check one until the day of our trip, and then we ended up having to check an additional suitcase for $90. So that's something we'll be fixing going forward. We also left our car at the airport for the duration of our trip, which was $72 in total. And at the airport, we did get 2 coffees, which was $13.91. Now, when we arrived in Florida, got our bags, and we're ready to head over to our hotel, we did get an Uber. This was $83, and something going forward and something I want to share with you guys is that we kind of mapped out how much the Uber would cost in the days and weeks leading up to our trip, but the actual cost of it was much more than we were anticipating. So after this Uber expense for the rest of the trip, we would book our Ubers like the night before, and that helped us save a lot of money. So if you are an avid Uber user, we're not. Maybe you already know that, but I just thought I would say that so maybe it could help you save a little bit of money. Once we got to our hotel, we checked in. We stayed at the Extended Stay America on Spruce Street near the International Plaza Mall, I believe is what it's called. And that hotel for the night was $106.30. If you're someone who is like, you get what you pay for, we're only here for one night, we're basically just sleeping, this was the perfect hotel. It was relatively clean, everyone was nice, and we were able to just walk straight over for dinner. I never felt unsafe or anything like that. If you want to be a little bit closer to the port and have maybe more restaurant options, maybe more within a walking distance of where you're staying, I would recommend looking more towards the actual port of Tampa Bay instead of where we were staying. However, if you're trying to go budget, we absolutely felt fine there, and the Uber ride was only about 20 minutes. Now, we did walk from our hotel over to dinner. We went to the Cheesecake Factory, which was inside of the mall, and that dinner was $54.62 for both of us. And because we were really full and tired and it was dark, we decided to Uber from the restaurant back to our hotel, which was $9.37. The last thing we spent this day was some vending from the hotel. I believe I got a Gatorade and maybe like some goldfish or something. I really don't know. But that was $6.10. Jumping to embarkation day, which was January 16th. We woke up this morning. We didn't do breakfast or anything like that. We just went ahead and got to our Uber. Our cruise check-in time was between 10 and 10:30. So I believe we booked our Uber for about 9:15, just so we'd have a little bit of extra time. You know, it can be very chaotic, and that way, if we were running late for some reason, we still had time to spare. So that Uber from our hotel to the port was $20.53. And since this is our embarkation day, I will go ahead and share how much the cruise itself actually cost us. So we booked this cruise back in July of 2024, and when we booked the cruise, we paid our deposit as well as travel insurance. Because we booked so far out, we didn't know if one of us would be sick or something else would come up and we just couldn't go on the trip. For the time of booking, we paid $248, and we didn't have to pay the balance until November 2nd of 2024, which was $698. So all in all, the cruise itself was $946. And that is for a interior room. We did do an upper lower bed on accident, but it turned out being fine. We were on deck 4 and we were midship. Now, I don't have an actual breakdown of what we spent and like where we spent it on the ship, but I know on embarkation day, we immediately got on the ship and went up to deck 10 for, I believe, some rum punch from the Red Frog Rum Bar. And then we had some lunch. We both had tacos from Blue Iguana Cantina and then a burger from Guy's Burger. And we were just living it up right away. It was a little bit chilly this day, but we were in Florida, we were headed for Mexico, like what is there to lose, you know? And we did get a couple more drinks that day as well as bingo that night. Bingo was pretty expensive. I think it was like $75 for like the big package, which is the one we ended up doing. So we both played together on that one package, and unfortunately, we didn't win anything, but it was definitely fun. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and jump to our port day in Cozumel because our sea days were both just onboard spending. So I'm gonna kind of group those together, but we'll do Cozumel first. So we did book an excursion. We booked our excursion back in October, and we decided to go with the Passion Island excursion. This is all inclusive. It was $84.99 per person, which includes an hour catamaran ride to and from the island, and then also an all-inclusive lunch with authentic Mexican food, 2 open bars, a cashless bar, and then of course the opportunity to shop around, get a massage, things like that. And the seats were also included. The beach chairs were also included. If you've cruised before to any beach, you know that that's kind of hard to find. You usually have to pay extra for them, but they were included. So all in all, that excursion cost us $169.38. As far as souvenirs go, we did buy an ornament. That sounds kind of weird, but we like to buy ornaments from places we go. So that was $25. And then on the island itself, they were actually taking photos of the guests when they arrive with the sign and the ocean in the background, and we decided to buy that. It was $20 for 2 photos, which I thought was a pretty good deal. Lastly, we did go to Fat Tuesday to right off the port, and we decided to get 2 drinks there to kind of wrap up our day in Cozumel, and that was $30. For our days at sea, we pretty much only spent stuff on board, so I don't have an itemized, detailed information of what that was that we spent. I do know that we got several souvenirs. We got drinks every single day, soda as well as alcohol drinks, and we did get medicine one night in the little shop on the ship. And so our onboard spending was $561.66. This does include the prepaid gratuity, which was $64 per person or $128 total. So keep that in mind. We didn't bring any cash. That is something that I also would bring next time, both for tipping on board, but also off the ship. Like the day in Cozumel when we had to take the catamaran, I would have liked to tip the driver that day, but we just didn't think about it. And there was an ATM on board, but when we tried to use it, it just wasn't working. So if you're going on a cruise, definitely take some cash with you. But I also want to say that $561.66 was actually the total after we put a $100 gift card onto our account that was gifted to us for Christmas. So we did spend quite a bit of money on board. However, like I said, we were celebrating, having a good time. It was so warm and sunny, so obviously we wanted margaritas and pina coladas and all that kind of stuff. So do I regret it? Absolutely not. And last but not least, we move into disembarkation day, also the day we went to the Florida Aquarium for a little bookend experience, as well as flying home. When we got off the ship this day, we took our suitcases, book bags, everything, and walked probably about 5 to 10 minutes to Shortwave Coffee. It's right along the port, kind of past the aquarium and down a little bit more on Channel Side Drive. So we got coffee that day. That was $12.25 for both of us. We were able to hang out there for about an hour or so before walking back to the aquarium. And good thing to note, if you have little kids or you're young adults like we are and you just want something to do other than sit and wait in an airport all day, the Florida Aquarium, as long as you buy a ticket for the day you'll be there, they will hold your luggage in like a secure area. And they actually had like a guard sitting with the luggage all day. So the only way you could get access to it is to show your ticket once you come back to pick up your luggage. So the aquarium was $36 per person, and then we paid an additional $17 per person for a wild dolphin cruise. That was probably not 100% worth it. It was cold that day, and then we had to come back early because the cruise ship was about to leave, and it's in the same little channel. So that was also bittersweet because we were like after the cruise, but we could see the ship and like smell the smells and see the people who were getting ready to sail out for their vacation. So it was fun, but maybe not 100% worth it unless you just like really like dolphins. So all in all, that was $106 for the tickets. We did get lunch at the aquarium. We shared like a chicken tender platter, I think. That was $29.36. And then we did do a photo booth photo thing, and that was $7. After the aquarium, I think we were there from about 10 to 4-ish. We got our Uber, which we had pre-booked, so that was $40.09 from the Florida Aquarium back to the St. Petersburg Clearwater International Airport. It was about a 30-minute drive, I'd say. And the last thing we bought on the trip was snacks and drinks at the airport. That was $25.30. I believe I had a vanilla Coke and some cheddar Chex Mix, I think. So that is everything we spent on our trip, and I will now share our grand total. Keep in mind this is the cruise. Our flights, our transportation with Ubers, the aquarium, onboard spending, our excursion, everything like that was $2,764.47. So that is everything we spent on our 4-night cruise to Cozumel, Mexico. Yes, there are cheaper ways. Yes, there are more expensive ways. It's all what is perfect for you and your family and what makes your vacation the best experience for you specifically. So I hope that this was an enjoyable video for you to watch. I hope it was helpful in some way. And if you haven't watched our cruise vlogs from when we were on board, I invite you to do so. There are 4 of them, as well as my pack and prep video, which is lengthy but definitely helpful, and I've linked a lot of the items that you see featured in that video. That is it for now. I will see you next week with a brand new video, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Goodbye for now.